Hello, my amazing Enneagram Nine friends. Thank you so much for joining me in this Spring into Action Challenge. I'm really happy about the response that I've had, and I'm so excited and just feeling the excitement with you when I see some of the goals that you guys are sharing with all of us. If you don't have a goal yet, that's okay. But this just brings so much joy to me. That's why I'm wearing my love shirt today. It brings me so much joy to be able to help people to feel empowered to take action on the things that they really want to do in their lives. Enneagram nines seem to struggle with this. And you'll be able to see why when I talk about it a little bit more. But it's probably the biggest struggle for nines is just staying on task and finishing things. Um, I've been coaching Enneagram Nines for 5 or 6 years now, and it's the most common thing that I hear from people. So I like to do these productivity kind of courses or challenges every year or so, just so that more and more of you can learn how to do this. I myself and an Enneagram Nine, I really am, I really lean to that three number a lot where I like to achieve things, but there's all those things, all those obstacles that come in the way sometimes. And as I learned the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you, it's helped me to be able to work with my executive functioning challenges and be able to actually finish things. And it's brought so much confidence to me to be able to show up for myself in that way. And I hear that from my clients as well. Like, it feels so good to be able to do something just because you want to do it and not because someone else is asking you to do it. That's one thing that I notice a lot with nines is a lot of them are really good at getting things done as long as someone else needs them to do it. Like if they're working for someone else or they have kids that have deadlines, or like for me right now, I'm in graduate school. So there's deadlines to things, and that's not a problem. But when we have something that no one is expecting us to finish, it's all up to us. And especially if it's something that's going to be seen by other people, that's where we get stuck. So you're here for a good reason, and I'm just really excited to be able to help you through these things. I'm going to switch over to my slides now and just start today with helping you to learn the steps to be able to become a productive person. We're going to become very aware of why we are not as productive as we would like to be as nines so that we can watch ourselves better. We could be aware of those sneaky things that come in that keep us stuck and start coaching ourselves and taking action. Awareness really brings choice. And that's the whole purpose of what I do is to be able to help Enneagram nines to have awareness of what it is that keeps them stuck, not only in productivity type of things, but in their relationships and other things in their lives. When we have awareness of those, not only those sneaky thoughts, but also the well memorized tendencies in our bodies that keep us from being who we want to be in a moment, that brings us choice in a moment. We have this choice now. We're like, okay, I see that this is coming up and I'm very aware of what's causing it. Now I get to choose what I want to do once my nervous system is regulated. Like that's number one. We have to be regulated and centered first. And that gives us the choice. Now, what brings actual change in our lives is practice. So that's why I want to invite you to choose something very specific with this challenge that you could be working on. If it doesn't feel like a season in your life when you can go for big goals, like maybe it's just a challenging time, then choose something that is more around rest. You can even have a goal to simply meditate every day. That would be an amazing goal. So we're not talking about hustling and getting stuff done. It's just learning how to show up for yourself consistently. That's what this is about. So we are going to be talking about, first of all, what productive people do differently. I call them doers. People that are productive, they're doers. And then I'm going to be sharing a very clear 5-step process for producing actual results. The reason why Enneagram Nines struggle is, first of all, our conditioned tendencies. Now, this is with all human beings, not just nines, but we have these memorized, automatic, subconscious responses that started usually when we were children and we didn't feel safe or we didn't feel like we belonged in some way. And so our body learned how to compensate to make sure that we stayed safe or we belonged or we stayed dignified. And then our tissues memorize that. So anytime we are under pressure now as adults, that same conditioning pops up. And what we want to do is become very familiar with what our conditioned tendencies are. And we don't want to have them cause shame. The reason we want to get familiar with them is so that we can, it's almost like we're shining a light on them because there's something that we've been pushing away our whole lives because we don't like these things about ourselves. But what is amazing is self-compassion is the key to healing. So when we become aware of these conditioned tendencies and we shine that light, we breathe air into them, then those things can heal. And it doesn't mean that they're never going to show up again because they will. They'll keep showing up. But what it does mean is they are not going to be driving the car anymore. We are going to let them be in the car with us. We're saying, you could be here and I'm going to be doing the driving now. Like I'm the one that's going to be in charge. I love you. You can still be here. Here's some examples of conditioned tendencies of nines specifically. One is that we are really stubborn. We feel this resistance that immediately comes up when we are told what to do. Now, that's not all the time. Like if it's something where we know that we want to do this, then it's not a problem. But if someone else has an idea of what they want for us, suddenly this stubbornness comes up and we dig in our heels. We're one of the most stubborn people on the Enneagram. I think the ones are the other ones. What's really interesting about this is that we are equally stubborn when we are the ones telling us what to do. It doesn't have to be someone else. It can be us telling us what to do. There's this unconscious thing that comes out that says, no, I got to have my autonomy here and I'm not doing it. So we have to watch for that. Okay, that's a conditioned tendency. And with all conditioned tendencies, we want to get really curious. Like when I'm feeling that stubbornness, where do I feel it in my body? For me, with that stubbornness, I feel a tension in my jaw. That's what I feel immediately. And it's kind of a forward movement, like a little bit of an against movement that I feel. So get familiar with that because when you can sit with it and just breathe into it, it softens. It's not going to run the show. Next example would be dissociating. This is a common thing, especially if it's something that felt very emotional to us as children. Then we learn to dissociate or simply divert our attention elsewhere whenever there was conflict present or possible in some way. That's a trauma response. We've probably heard that phrase before. And with trauma responses, just like all conditioned tendencies, we want to get very curious. Where do I feel that in my body? When I'm dissociating, what am I noticing? I'm kind of feeling myself floating away. I'm kind of feeling myself like slouching or coming back or feeling myself getting tired. Can I pay attention to that? Can I give it compassion? Can I tell it thank you for taking care of me in the past? So another one would be we have this strong pull towards ease, right? We want that even water all the time. We don't want it to be wavy. So when we start to do something that we haven't done before, we're worried about that water getting disrupted. That's another conditioned tendency. Another one is perfectionism. It can either come at the beginning of our project or not actually getting started, having a hard time getting started, or it can come at the end where we start to get to the end of the project and suddenly we sabotage ourselves and when we don't complete it. And that's that sneaky perfectionism. And I'm going to do one class on that one. And then another one is staying in the background. It just feels more safe. That is just a fact. For us as nines, like we just feel a lot more comfortable and safe in the background. It doesn't mean that we want to be in the background all the time. I think a lot of us long to be seen. We want to be invited. We want to be part of what's going on. But being in the background just feels safer to our nervous system. So what does that feel like? Like, what does my body do? For me, I slouch. My width comes in. So it's like I tune everyone else out and I come in and my height comes down. And it's like I'm kind of going into my own little bubble. That's what staying in the background feels like to me. And maybe you can get curious about this as well, about what that feels like. The second reason why 8/9s struggle with productivity. It's what's called executive functioning challenges. I hear a lot from Enneagram Nines that some of these executive functions are not as sharp as with other people. And this does not mean that you are less smart. Some of the smartest people in the world struggle with executive functions. Examples would be slower processing speed, working memory deficits, inability to focus on one thing for a sustained period of time. Our brains hop around to different things. Is this you? Raise your hand if it is. That's what happens in my brain. It's like ping, ping, ping. Let's see what else we can do right now because I don't want to do this. These are executive function challenges, and my next recorded class is going to be specifically on this. Number 3 is our self-concept and what it is that we believe about ourselves in relation to getting stuff done. Maybe it's like, I don't finish things. Like, I just don't finish anything. Or I don't deserve to have this. Or I can't outshine other people. That's just not what I do. Other people are more important. I need to make sure that I'm kind and I let them take the spotlight. So and so can do it better than me. These are all common Enneagram 9 beliefs that we just think are the plain old facts. We think we're just reporting the news when we say these things, but we need to realize that they are thoughts. And I'm going to show you what happens when we think these kind of thoughts. All of our thoughts create our feelings. And the way we feel creates our actions. And our actions create our results. So whatever we're thinking creates what the outcome is. We create a self-fulfilling prophecy. And here's a few examples of what I mean here. If you have a thought, I can't be a productive person, you are going to feel defeated. That's probably one of the feelings that you're going to feel. And if you think about it, if you have that feeling of defeat, like, ugh, I just can't be a productive person, what are you going to do? It's not going to motivate you to be productive. You're going to distract yourself. You're not going to get creative about ways to do it. And then the result is going to be that you are not a productive person. You're creating what you are thinking. Another example is if you have this belief that it's just too hard. What's going to happen if you think it's too hard? That's a really popular one for 9s. I think this often. This is just so hard. What's going to happen? We're going to feel this confusion, right? Like it's going to all be cloudy in our head. We're going to feel overwhelmed. It's going to be so hard to straighten it all out. And from those feelings of confusion or overwhelm, what are our actions going to be? We're going to distract ourselves. We're going to get stuck in sloth, like not taking action, not taking right action on things. We're going to blame people for the problem, like, oh, it's his fault that this is hard. We're not going to get creative or resourceful. And the result of all of those actions is it is indeed too hard, right? We have this thought, it's too hard, and we're creating the same result that it's hard. Isn't that interesting how that works? Here's one more example. You have the thought, I don't want to outshine anyone. What happens when we think that? We feel kind of small, right? This insignificant, small feeling, maybe invisible. From that place, what do? We sabotage ourselves as we get close to finishing. We distract ourselves. And what's the result going to be? We're just not shining. So that thought of like, I can't outshine someone is going to create the result. And one thing I want to point out here is so much of this is from our childhood. You might have had a mom that always told you, don't be too much because you're going to make your sister feel bad. Or maybe your sister complained because you accomplished something that she didn't, or you had a talent that she didn't. So you can see how so much of this is very well memorized from our bodies, in our bodies. And as adults, it's going to affect us. So we want to have so much compassion for this. Here is something that I wanted to bring up so that you can be aware of it. And it's what Dr. Russell Ramsey coined as, he calls them tax demoting thoughts. And this is when you have time set aside for something. You're like, okay, I'm going to do this at this time. And then your brain starts offering you all these reasons that it's not a good idea. So you'll start thinking things like, I'm really tired today. Or my desk is just too messy to work. The kids are being too loud. I'm not feeling well enough. I need to be in the right mood. I'm not feeling like a high enough vibration to do this. Those kind of thoughts that come in, like just today's just not a good day. So what happens when these task demoting thoughts comes in is what we call procrastivity. And Dr. Ramsey uses this term to describe this phenomenon where you have this great plan to engage in a priority task. Like, here's my priority task. Here's the thing that I want to complete at this time. Then those thoughts come in, and then you engage in something else instead of the thing that was the priority. So maybe you go and do the dishes, like this girl here. And you're like, hey, I'd be productive right now. This is something I need to get done. Maybe you need to go and fold some laundry. Those things are productive things. They're just not the thing that you have prioritized to do. So be very watchful of those task demoting thoughts that come in. And then when you are moving into that procrastivity, I love that word. It's so perfect. Okay, I'm going to show you the workbook that goes with this challenge. This is the Spring to Action workbook that I have on the screen here. And I'm going to go through the pages and talk about them as we move along. So the first page talks about the characteristics of doers, people who get crap done. The first thing is doers have a relationship that is healthy with themselves when it comes to promises. So they either make promises that they can keep, or they adjust the promises and take ownership when they can't keep them. I'm going to repeat that again. They either make promises that they can keep, or if they get going and they're like, this is too hard to keep this promise, you adjust the promise and then you take ownership for that. Say you have a goal to walk 5 miles a day. And then after a couple of days, you're seeing that this is not going to happen. That was a little bit of a lofty goal. So you adjust it And you're like, you know what? I'm taking ownership for the fact that 5 miles was a little too much. And I'm going to adjust it so that this is a goal that I can keep. Okay. Something that happens with nines often is we don't take that ownership because it feels like conflict. So it's kind of like we're closing our eyes to being accountable. And this is something we need to start doing, is staying accountable to ourselves. The second characteristic of a doer is they declare very specific, doable, measurable goals in words. So it's not, I'm going to start walking more. That's a big goal. It's very specific. Every day this week, I'm going to walk for 20 minutes. Okay. So it's something that you can measure. That helps you to go back to number one and be a lot more accountable because it's specific enough that you can tell whether or not you're doing it. Number three is doers call themselves doers. They don't tell themselves they're just not a person who gets stuff done. They start taking on this new identity of like, I'm a doer. I'm someone who finishes what I start. I'm accountable to myself. This is a new identity that you take on. And if it's hard for you to jump all the way to this belief, I know it can be way out there for some of you. See if there's a bridge thought that you can create here. Like, I'm on my way to becoming a doer. How does that feel? I love that phrase, I'm on my way, because it has a really high vibration to it. And it just feels motivating to me. So maybe you can do that. And you can say that to yourself. Number four is doers either visualize the end result and then they feel the feeling of the accomplishment ahead of time. Because remember, our feelings create our actions. So we want to create these motivating feelings in our bodies. So sometimes like a vision board or a picture or something like that can help to create those feelings. Or they take action without feeling bad. Okay. So sometimes it's hard for us to create those motivating feelings, but we want to finish this goal because it's just who we want to be. Like we really want the outcome of this goal. And so we're going to allow ourselves to not feel very good while we're doing it. An example of this is right now I am working on my master's degree and it's finals week and I have these two big projects that I have to do. I don't really want to do them. And I can think about the end goal of having it done. That does raise the vibration of it a little bit, but not enough that it's going to make me excited necessarily to do it. And so I am showing up and I'm doing it while feeling kind of bad. So those are your two options, and either one works. The first one, of course, feels better, but sometimes that's not available to us. So we have to do the second one, and that's okay. And then the last one is that doers only commit to things that they want to commit to. Sometimes this means reminding themselves that something hard or boring is what they want. We don't want to commit to things that our spouse wants us to do or our parent. Yeah. Some of you are younger. Your parents might have ideas of what they want you to accomplish in your life. It's going to be hard to be a doer if you're doing something for someone else. You need to be able to do it because it's something you want. Number 6, doers actually produce. They don't just work on things. You know what the difference between that is? Producing is actually creating something that didn't exist before. Working on things is piddling around with it. Those of you that are entrepreneurs know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll spend ages playing around with this post or that post, but you don't actually finish it. So we're actually producing or creating things and we're putting it out in an imperfect way. B- quality. That's what gets it done. So as I talked about all those characteristics of doers, I want you to look at each one of those and what are some of the thoughts that come up for you when you think about doing? Okay. Do you think of yourself as a doer? Get really clear about that. And maybe you can stop this and do a thought download on those questions. Here's the 5 steps. I'm just going to go through them quickly. And these are the 5 steps to becoming a doer or a productive person. This first step can be the hardest one for people, especially those of us that have big dreams and we want to do it all. Like I talk to so many nines that just have all these really amazing ideas of things that they want to do. And it's so hard to choose just one thing. But this first step is to constrain. When we constrain, we intentionally put limits or restriction on ourselves. You might worry that you might pick the wrong thing. That's always the thing that I hear most from people. It's like, what if I pick the wrong thing? What if I end up picking something that I don't like? That's not helpful. Picking one idea is actually the pathway to being productive. Believing that you don't have to catch up will actually allow you to produce more than you ever have in the past. And the only way to be productive is to constrain to one goal at a time. You're going to think that there's all these other things and you can't possibly pick just one. But just trust me on this. I will not lead you astray. Okay. Just give this a try. This is one of those things that are going to help you to become a doer. Indecision is a big challenge for nines, and we're learning to overcome indecision. Step 2 is to plan, and this kind of goes along with that constraining. So now that you've decided on one thing that you're going to produce, the next step is to brainstorm every little thing that you're going to have to do to produce that result. So if I'm organizing my office, I'm looking around, I'm saying, okay, first I'm going to start with the pile that's on the left side of my desk. I'm actually looking at one right now as we speak. Then I'm going to work on the closet in my office. That's step 2. If the closet is a project in itself, maybe it's like, this day I'm only going to do the shelves. This day I'm going to, so you're just breaking it down into these little bite-sized tasks, and you're only focusing on what's at the top of the list. And everything else, you're going to get to it. It's like they all have their parking spaces and they're there. And they're not going anywhere, but you're only focusing on the first thing. So on this worksheet, it says, what do you have to do to accomplish your goal? Make a list. So I've left a space for that. Just plan that out. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to brainstorm some of the barriers that are going to stand in the way, because it's not all going to be easy. You're going to have these obstacles that come up. Maybe it's your kids needing you or somebody else. Maybe it's a work project that's going to maybe come up. Maybe it's your own thoughts that are going to come in the way to tell you, like, there's something else that's more important, or this is too hard. Like, kind of think ahead of time. What are the thoughts that are going to pop into my head? Those are going to be some of your obstacles. And really list every obstacle that comes to your mind. And see if there's some help that you might need to ask for from other people. There's a space where you can write about that. And once you have that list of all the obstacles that are keeping you from the goal, it's time to solve each one of those problems. So you're going to see obstacle number 1. How do I solve that? Here's my strategy. So when this thought comes in that this is too hard, my strategy is going to be to get up and move my body, do some jumping jacks and some push-ups, get my thoughts, my blood moving, my heart pumping. Maybe it's listening to a motivating song. Like, think of what is it that's going to help you to overcome this specific obstacle. And then you're going to write that down. And I have a page that I created for you where there's obstacles on one side and strategies on the other. Okay, there's a page where you can do a thought download about what's going to be hard. And then I don't have it here, but it's just that obstacle and strategy page. So once you have those obstacles and strategies figured out, you're going to do step 3, which is to schedule. This is the part that um, when we take this list and the things that we want to do, and then we schedule them on our calendars. We actually put them down, and you're getting real about this. This is the time I'm going to work on this Tuesday at 2 p.m. I'm going to work on this for 15 minutes, whatever you need. Some tasks are going to be scheduled every day. Others are going to be once a week or maybe a couple of times a week. You get to decide. There's no right or wrong way. You might need to schedule time where you're moving your body and doing some super thinking. I love doing that. Going out for a walk, not listening to anything and thinking and planning in my mind. You want to make sure you schedule your work time and your family time and like these daily requirements. Do all of that first. Get all of that on your calendar. And then look for little windows in your schedule where it just makes sense to do these things. Always give yourself more time than you think you're going to need because it always takes more time. And you might want to eliminate something else from your schedule in order to make room for this. And something I want to mention is a lot of you, if you're like me, you work well under pressure. It's a lot easier for you to right at the end do a marathon and get it done. This is how I roll specifically. So if you're a person that's like that, that's completely fine. You want to make this work with the way that your brain works. Just make sure that you write it on your calendar. Okay. So maybe like our deadline is the middle of May. Maybe you write it in that week before, depending on what you're doing. Some people create their best work the last minute under pressure. Okay. This is a common thing with ADHD. So there's nothing wrong with this if it works for you, like I said. And just remember to let go of the self-defeating thoughts. If you're someone that you see this whole workbook that I've got here and it feels overwhelming and you're like, this is not me, to sit here and plan and just like notice those thoughts and love yourself through them and make it work for you. You can skip some of these steps if you want. The main thing is just get it done. So get it done your way, whatever way that is. Step 4 is we want to take action. This is where we're actually springing into action. We're going to notice how all those steps before we're all dealing with thoughts, right? Constraining, planning, scheduling. Now what we're doing is we're taking action. This is where we follow our schedules and we actually do. That's our virtue, taking right action. And this is not going to come naturally to you. This is where we have to feel uncomfortable feelings on purpose. We have to allow that discomfort. One of my teachers, Brooke Castillo, says, discomfort is the currency of our dreams. It's how we pay for our dreams, is discomfort. And I love that. So as someone who has just recently in the last few years learned to become a productive person, I'm just here to say that it feels very uncomfortable, especially if you're doing something that you've never done before. So you have to be willing to feel bored sometimes, or agitated, or frustrated, or defeated, or maybe a little confused, like you don't really know all the answers. Maybe you're a little tired. That's all part of it. So you're going to have to develop a joy in the actual doing part. Like, this is what brings me joy, is the fact that I'm doing something that's uncomfortable because I'm showing up for me. So are you willing to allow all of this? I just want to ask you that right now. Are you willing to allow this discomfort and take action? Get really real with yourself. And then after we are done at the end of the 6 weeks, we want to evaluate. It's always important to go back and look at what worked, what didn't, what would I do differently next time, what's on the schedule. Now, this evaluation form is something that you can print lots of copies of and do throughout the process as well. So if you work on your goal one day, You could do the evaluation afterwards, like what's on the schedule for today and what thoughts and feelings came up for me when I thought about doing it. So get clear about all those things. And then you could do a model. So maybe the circumstance was cleaning your closet in your office. You had this thought, it's too confusing. I don't know where all this crap goes. And then how's that going to feel? It's going to make you feel confused. The actions from that is going to be to pick up your phone and start scrolling Instagram. And then the result is that you're not getting it done. So if you look at that model, it's not working, right? So you're going to ask, what thoughts and feelings do I want to have that are going to help me to get it done today? And then do another model where you write that, and a good intentional thought there, like, I'm on my way to being a doer or something like that. And then notice as you fill out the different lines of that model, what's different? Okay, that's what I've got for you this week. That was probably one of the bigger ones that we will have. And there's a lot there. So just take it one page at a time and have fun with this. Nobody's grading it. Nobody even has to know that you're doing it. If it helps for you to share it with somebody, share it with someone in your family, or come here on the forum and share it there. Just do what works for you. But let's just have fun with this and let's see what's possible. Let's blow our minds. Let's blow our own minds. I've been doing this lately and it's really cool. I'm keeping the Bold Nine going. I've got a few clients, and then I'm also working on this master's degree, which takes probably 15 to 20 hours a week. And it really is. It's blowing my mind. Like, how is it that I'm getting all of this done? I'm not going to say it's easy. I do spend time in the middle of the night awake thinking about everything I need to get done. So it's not perfect all the time. But what it is doing for me is it's creating more self-confidence. It's amazing to be able to show up for yourself and like show up for yourself the same way that you show up for other people. That feels really, really good. So have fun with this. Let us know how it's going along the way. And then next week, be sure to come to the coaching call if that's something you can work into your schedule. If neither of the coaching calls work, like if you're at work during that time or something, please feel free to reach out to me if you have something that you'd like some coaching with. You can put it in the discussion forum. Like that would be even better because then other people can learn from it. So maybe you can say what the problem is that you're having related to this, and then I can coach you through writing. That's an option as well. All right, have fun, and we will see you next time. Bye.